Oh, there you are. Welcome, welcome. I'm Rudy Maxa, travel journalist and broadcaster, and my friend Tommy Danielsen, my partner in Maxa Tours, a very nice European tour company you could look into if you would like. It is, as we do this live, Thursday, the 17th of August, 2023. I say that so that if you're watching this later on YouTube or on Facebook, the information we're giving you, as far as we know, is current for today, the 17th of August, at 6:20 p.m. in the afternoon Eastern time. So, Tommy, I am slightly cheered. Let's start with a little good news. That
I'm finally getting a baby brother. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's not that. You're not getting a third cat. No, not a third kitty cat. It's
well, that would be awesome. I would love to do that.
I know. It's domestic fares some are lower than they were last year at this time, and we've had a winter, spring, and summer of high fares. Here's a chart that shows you 10 domestic destinations with cheaper fares. For example, Hawaii is the average ticket price is now $617. That's 8% more than 2019, 6% more than last year. Right. Las Vegas has gone down. 24%. That's a big one for Vegas. Wonder why that
so they had from 2019. From 2019, we're actually up 24%.
Why is that? Do you suppose? Is that wait a minute? It's up. It's up in price, or
I think Americans have changed the ways that they travel. There is not as many people traveling outside of the country right now as it used to be, and it was a big boost from 2019. But from 2022, prices are up 1%. I think that looking the biggest, the most interesting thing I find on this list is Denver International Airport has been a huge winner number wise, and it's now the third largest airport in the United States traffic wise.
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
They're up 15% from 2019, but down 7% from last year. And we're seeing that for the only four airports that have gone up from last year is Vegas.
Hawaii.
Vegas is up 1% from last year. Honolulu is up 6%, while Florida is back from 2022. They're down 12% from last year for Orlando. Seattle's down 7%. It was up 11% from the
2019,
from before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Boston was up 20% from 2019. They're up 1% from last year. San Francisco is the same. O'Hare is down 4%.
Seattle's down 7%.
Largest airport. So yeah, it's looking better, but at the end of the day, they're still, the rates are still high compared to what they were in 2019.
Yes, and can I point out I misspoke at the opening? I said Hawaii was down. It's actually up 6% from 22. I was reading the chart backwards. So the real deal here,
we're going to have to wait and see what the story is with Maui, right? With the devastation we've seen there. We're going to talk a little bit about that a little bit later.
So the big deals are Seattle down 7% and Denver down 7%.
And also all Florida travel now is starting to drop. I guess people are done sweating so much now. They think that maybe they should go somewhere a little bit cooler. So maybe that's it.
Anyway, that's some good news to start off, right?
Absolutely, and also some other news that you were able to find this morning that the strike at Gatwick Airport has been called off.
Yeah, it was supposed to be several days at the end of August to Gatwick, from August 18th to the 21st, 25th to the 28th, but it's not going to be. They just settled them, and Gatwick workers and baggage handlers have dropped their threat of strike. So, well, as you can see in the headline, travelers rejoice. And I fly into Gatwick quite a bit, so I'm happy. And
you do?
Well, my daughter lives in Brighton, which is very near Gatwick, so I try to.
Right.
Particularly if I'm flying within Europe, I certainly do all the time going to Gatwick. So I'm glad there's no strike in August, even though I'm not going there till early September. So more good news. God, do we have any other good news, or is that about it?
Looking at the demand for IHG, it is what we're seeing here is that there is a rebound and high demand for IHG's hotels still going on in, it's in the second quarter, a 17% rise. And A rebound in China also helped the rates go up, and it seems like the hotels are still in high demand around the globe, and the prices are up. So that's not that good of news. I think the indications that we've seen so far, I think that these numbers are from the second quarter. The third quarter is definitely not as good as one to be expected. So the 17% in the second quarter was up from the second quarter of 2022, which was very COVID-y still. So I'm not seeing that that's a big gig, but we're seeing the profits for hotel chains are really going up these days, and here in the U.S. it's like pulling teeth. There's still Hilton is still to this day not giving complimentary breakfasts to their diamonds and gold members. They're giving a food and beverage credit instead. So they have not gone back to pre-pandemic stuff at all, which is kind of thing. And they're trying to milk it out and make the money back. And so I do believe that the demand will taper off in the fall for this, just as it does for airfare.
Well, speaking of breakfast, I just this weekend spent the weekend in Boston just for fun. I hadn't been to Boston in a while. And I stayed at Washington. Well, both cities, but the one that struck me the most was I stayed at the Park Hyatt in Washington, and there were two of us, and we each got $60 in credit in the restaurant. They didn't have a buffet. You ordered right off the menu. $60 each for breakfast, $120 for two people. You have to work hard to do that, and we came nowhere near that. But I want you to explain this thing that Air France and KLM are doing with a big investor, because I don't quite understand it.
Right. So we've seen for a long time that the value of frequent flyer miles and loyalty programs are, pretty high. It's not a big secret that flying planes today is not as profitable as the frequent flyer programs. American Airlines hasn't made money flying planes in years. The only reason why they are showing a profit, is because of their frequent flyer programs,
right.
American Advantage. And so the value we've seen, and there have been spin-ups in the past. We saw companies spinning off their frequent flyer programs into separate companies, and now it's Air France and KLM's turn, which are in final talks with Apollo, which is a global it's a private equity firm who is buying the trade will hold the trademark in the majority of a commercial partner contract concerning Air France and KLM's joint loyalty program, Flying Blue. What this means is they will pay €1.5 billion or $1.64 billion in order to be the exclusive issuers of their miles. So meaning that their loyalty program will be in reality owned by a private equity company. No, we're talking some serious money here.
That's a huge amount. Does that mean that the Apollo group expects that over the next 10 years or so, people they'll be able to sell all these miles and make a profit on their $1.6 billion investment?
Absolutely. I mean, the deals. I mean, I don't have the specific numbers in front of me right now. I wasn't expecting that question, but I will tell you that Delta, American Express, purchased billions of dollars of miles from Delta Airlines every single year, and those miles and use those miles for their credit card. So, $1.5 billion is not a big number in this case. I think that the value of Flying Blue is much higher than that.
So Air France, this is how much they're going to make right now. Will they?
Right.
I wonder if they'll get a piece of the action if the.
It hasn't been disclosed, but I'm sure there is some sort of. And then they will still continue to run the thing. It doesn't say anything. It says that the agreement wouldn't affect the loyalty scheme, how it works for members. It says, and all of Air France and KLM's employee contract will be respected. So meaning that they're not taking it out and running the program and doing customer service for that. It looks like it's some sort of a middle ground. They've learned from the AMIA Air Canada deal that was made in the early 2000s when Aeroplan, the program, was spun off with an external partner, and they just settled last year and took over the program again, because I think that the valuation of these programs is highly underrated. I mean, like I said, if as an example, American Airlines, they they get paid 44 cents per seat mile they sell. And excuse me, it costs them 44 or 45 cents per seat mile to operate a flight, and they only get 42 cents in income. So they lose 3 cents per mile, I think, something in that neighborhood, for each seat mile they fly. If it wasn't for the frequent flyer program, American Airlines would be bankrupt. It would not be able to operate. And prediction, we've talked about this before. Marshall and I talked about it on our last show. I'm sorry, it's been a while since we chatted. The terrible three, the United and American and Delta, would never exist if it wasn't for frequent flyer miles. It just, these programs are extremely profitable, and it is the only reason. I mean, right now you literally have they're spending money like drunken sailors, giving in to pilots and crazy, like, Delta's pilots, and now the top salary is over $600,000 a year. It's not sustainable. Thankfully for them, they do have this as a backup. And it seems like Air France-KLM is kind of giving away a little bit of the farm here. I don't know the specifics of the deal. It hasn't been disclosed yet. They're just in a talk. I would be interested. I think we'll report back when we've actually been able to see what's going on.
Well, it gives the airlines a lot of cash. Now, let me ask you this. How do you feel about, during the Afghan war, U.S. carriers were not allowed to fly over Afghanistan, which increased the price of fuel flying east to west because they had to go around it. But the FAA is now making rules that maybe we can fly over. How do you feel about flying over Afghanistan, Tommy?
I mean, at the end of the day, it is. I don't know the political situation, how it is in Afghanistan, but we did leave a lot of crap behind there, and we have the ability to shoot down pretty much anything out of the sky. I'm not saying that the Taliban is going to do that, but I probably wouldn't. I mean, just a few years ago, it's not that long ago. I think it was 2019. Where Ukraine Airways had a flight from Tehran to Kiev that was shot out of the sky by accident by over a scheduled area that hasn't been in war for decades, right? So it's. I would personally, I think it would be a good idea to pass.
Well, I mean,
over there. I don't think the chances of things happening, but we saw the Russian separatists, effectively the Russian government was responsible for shooting down a Malaysian airline 777 and killing 300 people. So,
and also there is still a war going on. Al Qaeda and the Taliban are still fighting. I mean, I think Al Qaeda.
Yeah, I don't think they would fly. You're going to be at 37, 38, 39, 40,000 feet going above in the skies over. It requires some serious weapons to take down those planes. It's not like they're going to be flying through the bushes there, being shot by an AK-47.
No, but I mean, if the Taliban could shoot down a U.S. air carrier, if Al Qaeda could shoot down a U.S. air carrier over Afghanistan, it could have severe repercussions for Talibans. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah, it would. Maybe we should invade Afghanistan again. That would be. Like
I'm not suggesting that.
Spend another $5 trillion and kill 4,000 more American kids.
I am not suggesting that. I'm not suggesting that. I don't know if any airlines.
I think that they, like you said. Planes largely avoid it. I haven't looked at. We can look at Flight Radar 24 and see what they've got going on. Are there any planes flying over Afghanistan right now? Let's take a peek. We can easily zoom out and go over to. Most Americans don't have no idea where it is, and I don't see a single plane. Over there's one that's Aeroflot, flying straight over Kabul. That's to be expected.
Yeah,
I can't believe that. See here, this is a perfect example of how the Thai government, who's supposed to be helping us and they're allies with us, and they are buying weapons from us, and they're letting a 777 that is repossessed. There is a warrant out for this plane. It belongs to somebody else, and it should be. There is, as soon as it lands in a Western country, this plane will be seized by the governments because it belongs to somebody else. And here you go. Here you have Thailand's government supporting Russia in the war that's going on right
letting
now.
an Aeroflot plane land in Bangkok is what you're
exactly
saying. Right.
Here we got another one. Air India flying. Oh, actually, they're right on the border. As you can see, it made a little bit of a turn.
Yeah, well, you can see all these planes going around Afghanistan. You know,
it does. It does. So if Air India is doing it,
you're right.
Let's skip flying over there for a while. I think is a good play. How about that?
Okay, and you know, this real ID that we're all supposed to have in our driver's license, I think last year and this year, it's been pushed back to 2015. So I am applying for a new driver. I have to get a renewal tomorrow of a new driver's license here in Minnesota. I'm going to ask for it, but several states aren't ready to issue a real ID. I don't know what the big deal is, but
yeah, I already got mine a long time ago, and Melinda did too. I don't know what the holdup is, but you know, maybe some bureaucracies are bigger than others. I guess
it was supposed to start May of 2023. So
yeah, but I think the COVID had a lot to do with that. I wouldn't read too much into it, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, just if anybody was worried about that, the real ID, you got some breathing time.
Yeah, my license would probably expire before it gets implemented.
So, oh, come on. Don't say that. This wouldn't be any fun doing this without you.
Yeah.
We dedicate each show to you.
Here's a doozy, and we got to close the windows. We got we got nuked for showing a video on the. We got a nastygram from YouTube from one of Gary's videos that popped up here during our show earlier. So there was did you know that if you do a no-show or you cancel an award, something happens, so you're using your Hyatt points or your Marriott points, you can be charged money, cash, if you don't show up or you cancel, and you forfeit your points. And that kind of did what you were. So here, there's actually a World of Hyatt member was charged $5,500 to cancel an award stay when his father died. How about that?
I thought it was just you didn't cancel before 24 hours or something.
Nope. So you have to cancel. You have to cancel on the war trip inside the hotel. 15 days cancellation policy.
15 days. I didn't know.
He paid 63,000 points for a stay at the Grand Victoria Hotel, Lake Como. His father passed away, and the funeral conflicts with his stay. He can't go, and he's charged $5,500 for that stay because he didn't show up.
What? Why didn't they just take his miles? Or points?
And here's first of all, it's not enforceable. All of these hotel programs are what they're talking about here is like it's the cost of the stays is the point. It says the cost of the stay. They're charging a rack rate or whatever the hotel is charging for those days for the guy not to show up. If it's within the period of time, first of all, if the guy's your father died, that is not a company I want to do business with. If they're not letting you cancel, if you show a death certificate and they won't let you cancel, that is pretty low for a hotel or an airline.
Does this article mention anything about whether Hyatt, when contacted, decided to change their mind or no?
Right. So it says, however, I do not see how on earth the charge is even enforceable because nowhere during the booking process are you told how much money the forfeiture will be. And even after booking, Hyatt's confirmation email do not tell you how much money is at risk. One of the confirmation I consulted, I saw a cancel penalty of 50% of the stay, but the cost of my stay was 90,000 points. So forfeiture should be half of that, right?
Right.
So that's how I see it. I mean, you lose your miles, sure, fair enough. If you have a reason to, and you know, if your father died, I think that's a little bit out of control, but still. What he says the advice is here, if the hotel isn't flexible, and you're going to be charged for the cancellation, don't cancel it. You can find somebody. It's like you want to spend 3 nights on Lake Como for free, and you could just transfer. It's transferable. You can just have somebody else do it. You're using your miles. You can change this to a guest of honor thing. So I don't know what to tell you. It's kind of crazy out there. Yeah, Speaking of crazy, you were talking about Southwest Airlines. I got this from you. They introduced same-day standby and change for free.
Yeah, I like that. Sounds like the old days when you could go standby in some airlines. Just stand there. There's a seat. You
I
got it.
think that's interesting that you can do. They've had these want to get away plus fares, right?
Right.
Which gives those included that you can stand by for free, and then you can change to flight for free confirmed. And that's still the case, meaning that you can do a same-day change with a fare difference, like you've always been able to do on Southwest. But now, on the cheapest fares on Southwest, you are able to stand by for free without reticketing thing, which is a really decent policy.
Very nice. I wish every airline did it, although every airline I fly seems to be full all the time. But good luck doing standby. But eventually we'll get back planes in the air and more airline people, and maybe it'll work. Yeah.
Right. I think that that's solving itself now. And as we coming back to things, Southwest has been plagued with a lot of issues with having enough staff and enough people to fly their planes, and that's obviously a big problem for them. Speaking of, we were supposed to go to Hawaii today, actually. And I found
not me when you say we.
Tommy and his wife Melinda was supposed to go to Hawaii today. Unfortunately, we needed to cancel that, not because of the fires and all that stuff, with horrible stuff that's happened out there, but because we were going to a different island. And we checked with the hotel and people we know there, and they said there was all of the people that needed to be relocated and that were displaced have a place. So do not leave people in the lurch. They're not missing anything. There's plenty of water, there's plenty of food, there's plenty of all places to stay, and the 1,400 people that were displaced are either back in their houses or have a place to stay. So you should go to Hawaii.
Yeah, I think
thought it was kind of interesting.
I think right after the fires, they asked people not to come to Hawaii because they wanted to get emergency personnel and families.
That was Maui. Yes, that was Maui. It was never stated by the. There's been a lot of people. There is and I'm going to be blunt about this. The Hawaiian people in and of themselves, there is a really, really, how do I, to say it in more of a diplomatic way, but there are people in Hawaii that doesn't want to see a lot of tourists. They love the fact that COVID happened so they could keep their little islands to themselves. And that's a great thing. But what they fail to say that over 30% of the economy in Hawaii comes from tourism.
Right.
And of course, the ones who are screaming loudest, and there was in the Marriott groups on Facebook and also various other groups on Facebook, there has been people are like, stay away. We are. It's like there was this military wife, of course, because, you work for the government and you're based in Hawaii and you have nothing to do there. You're not indigenous. You weren't born there. Your husband is stationed there, and all those damn tourists are screwing up traffic, right? Yeah. So whatever. That's like it was like we're busy digging out bodies here. I was like, okay, you look at her profile and she lives in Oahu and she's not digging out anything. So and civilians don't do that anyways. Emergency personnel does. So I'm not marginalizing things. I'm saying that give them peace and ask for advice. Exactly what we did. My reaction was, which is quite interesting, and all the fires are out. There's no fires going on right now, and thankfully, and it's good. But we were flying. We were supposed to be in Maui also, and we canceled. We have a timeshare, and the timeshare our timeshare in Maui was at the Westin Kaanapali Beach Resort or something like that. And they were very flexible with moving that. So we were able to move our week into prime time in December. So we're going to come back. We're not going to go to Maui then either, but we're going to go back to Maui in December.
Yeah. And the state is asking tourists to come back now. I mean,
go to Hawaii. Just don't go to Maui right now. Wait a couple of weeks to go to Maui. That's the advice right now. The point was that we were able to move our vacation. We're going to the Big Island. I don't know where we're going. We're going to another place, not to Maui, somewhere else, in mid to end of December. So right before Christmas, I think like the mid-December we're going sometimes.
Good.
So we were able to move it. Great. Then we called Southwest and said, hey, we're moving. We can't change our thing. There are waivers. And all of these corporations are like, oh, we're helping everybody. Oh, the poor people. We are doing it so much good here. The travel Southwest, we were flying Southwest to Hawaii, and I'm a big fan of Southwest. I love the guys. I love the Rapid Rewards team, and I love the attitude of the people. The people that work there, they love their jobs, but I don't like the hypocrisy here. Melinda said to the people, she said, hey, we were able to rebook. We're going in December. And they were like, well, no, we can only move your flights for 2 weeks. And our flights went into Maui and then on to the Big Island or something like that, right? So it was somewhere else.
We can only move your flights, 2 weeks ahead? That's all?
You can move your flights 2 weeks ahead. If you move them more than 2 weeks ahead. So meaning that first week has already passed, right? So towards the end of the month, you can move them ahead. And they're saying now, don't come to Maui. Our tickets were into Maui. And if you want to go, at first, it's not advisable to go back the first week of September. They haven't said that. They're still cleaning up. And the area where all of Kaanapali is right north of Lahaina. Leave these people alone. Give them peace. And spare me the bullshit. So they literally told us that, you first of all, they didn't offer us the money back either. Said, okay, so we are moving we were able to move our vacation to December. We would like to move our flights then. Oh, well, there'll be a refare. Okay. Well, we're not going to pay, $600 to fly Southwest. That's science fiction. So we want our money back. No, you can't do it. You can only get a credit. So we could go within 2 weeks, which there is nowhere you can go in that area. It's all closed down and it's not available, right? That's the first thing. So there is no flexibility at all. Everybody's going out and they allow customer for flights to or from Maui to rebook within 2 weeks of the original date without a fare difference, right? And so there's literally, and also here's the thing though, Southwest and the other option was to cancel, but don't get your money back. You get a future credit. So
but you'll still have to pay the higher.
That's their standard benefit.
You'll still have to pay the higher fare in December,
right? And so literally, if you want to go, and it ends on 23rd. On the 23rd is the last date, right? So it's already halfway through this thing. So it's just I can't believe it. And also their policy, the Southwest policy, as long as I've been in the United States, is that for decades and decades and decades has been that if you cancel your flight, you get a credit and you can use it for a future flight. That's their general policy. So there was zero help to move the flight until an option that was feasible. So
So what are you doing?
What am I doing? And I don't know what we're doing, but I will tell you, this is just, them tooting their horns. I also saw, Marriott in Maui the Ritz-Carlton in Maui, they're giving up all of their space to their displaced people and the violin and all that stuff. Well, guess what? FEMA is paying for that. They're paying the room rates for tourists to be there. They're not helping out with anything. So it's just, give me a break with this help. If they wanted to do something, give cash. Where's the cash, Marriott? Where's the cash, Southwest? Where are you? Where are you guys? Give miles or something, match something, do something. People are giving money up the yin yang, and what you get is that you can go back to Maui, but you could go back to Maui in 2 weeks when it's not even cleared out to when the governments are not saying to come back. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
That was quite a Tommy rant.
It was. For me, it's like, we'll find something else, and we might end up on Southwest. I just think that's hypocritical. People are like, you see these Facebook groups with all the people that are there, right? It's like, oh, thank you, Marriott, for making your hotels available. Yeah, FEMA is going to pay you $800 a night for each of these rooms. So thank you to the taxpayers of the United States for filling up the hotel 100%.
I did not know they were charging retail rates.
I don't know if they do either, but why wouldn't they? It's the government.
Right.
So
okay, are we ending up?
News?
The new American routes. This is nice.
Yeah, so these are like seasonal. We're seeing a lot of that happening now. A lot of nonstop seasonal flights coming. And it looks like the ones who are getting love from American, it came out this morning, is Copenhagen in the capital of Denmark, Nice in France, Naples, Italy are starting. But I think United already flies to Naples. Yes, because we had somebody that we know fly in there. Friends of ours fly in there on United. Yeah, so it looks like they will be doing Philly to Copenhagen, and they will be doing and
Dallas somewhere, isn't it?
they will do Philly to Copenhagen and Philly to Naples, Philly to Nice. And they will be DFW to Barcelona is coming back, and then Chicago to Venice.
To Venice, yeah.
Nice. So I think that that's the most interesting one. Chicago to Venice nonstop. That would be something that might work for you.
Yep, it certainly would. Certainly would. Yep. Okay. Well, I'm grateful to American for taking some secondary places like Venice as opposed to Rome. Good.
Absolutely. You know, nonstop is great. I mean, I think that what's worth noting, though, if for you, is that fly to Venice on the nonstop flights. But when you fly back, don't fly to Chicago, because that means that you have to take your bag out. You got to go through customs. You got to do all that stuff. And then you got to recheck your bag and go through security again. It's better to, when you go back, to transfer in Europe instead, because, you know, in Europe, you don't have to go through security except for in London. And you don't have to take your bag out when you transfer. So when you go back, the best of two worlds is flying, you know, do a domestic hop here, and you know, actually it's not really. Transferring in Europe is so much better than here. The U.S. government wants to see your bag when you enter this country, right? Regardless, even if you're transferring, if you're going from here and if you're going through the U.S. to, for example, Mexico or somewhere else, they want to inspect your bag, even if it's none of their business. So transferring in Europe is always easier. So I
before
would
coming back. Yeah. Well, I will
but if you're obviously, if you live in Chicago or you live in Philly, it's a beautiful thing.
All right, I will tell all my Midwest friends here in Minnesota the good news. Thank you.
There you go. And
anything else? Oh, what's this?
So I saw a lot of. I noticed there's a frequent flyer group in Scandinavia that posted a link that the engine inlets. So the engine inlets, the coil is where there is discovered under very interesting and very specific situations, there might be a severe damage from the anti-ice system, meaning that when there is a possibility for icing, you can manually turn on an anti-ice system on airplanes that will melt the ice around the coils and things like that, and the intakes of the engines and the inlets and stuff. And it may result in inlet damage or failure. So, and of course, it's the 737 MAX, and then everybody's blowing up about that again. Oh no, more MAX problems and things like that. So, did you hear about this?
Nope, didn't know about this.
So, it's been out in the press, and a lot of red big banners about people being really, really afraid of since it's the 737 MAX, it gets more scrutiny than any other airplane, right?
Right.
You know, the FAA, they hand out directives and recommendations hundreds of times a year. So it's a very small thing. Every single engine, every single airplane type has this. And it's being now, it has to be within a specific air temperature and this and that. And there is a, just as long as the pilots read their directives and they keep, you know, as professionals, they should follow up on those things. It's nothing to be afraid of. And so if you've read this, you know, read the actual FAA press release. I think is a better play, or Flight Global, or somebody like a professional website, rather than being scared. The 737 MAX is still the safest airplane in the world to fly these days because of all the scrutiny it's been to. So that's
all right. That's reassuring. Okay.
And lastly, today.
No, you got a lot of news.
I do. We haven't done this for 3 weeks.
Oh. What's this one?
This one is the United Airlines pilot made a. I think that I don't want to focus on pilots making mistakes. We all make mistakes, but there's a reason why there's 2 of them up there, and there's also a reason why they get paid the big bucks, and there also is a reason why we invest, or the airlines invest a lot of money in training. And this was a big boo-boo, another big boo-boo that's been happening.
Why did he die?
So there was miscommunication in the cockpit, and they lost. They were at almost 2,000 feet, and they fell to 743 feet over the ocean right after takeoff in Maui.
Why? Because one of the pilots.
There was that. The vertical speed, flight path speed, and pitch attitude was wrong, and what happened was, and here's the problem, though. The biggest problem I have with this thing is that United did not report it, and United actually didn't do anything wrong. They followed the rules. They should have reported it. They should have said to the NTSB that, hey, we had a serious thing here. This should be addressed. There was nothing wrong with the plane. It was pilot errors. So the pilot called out flaps 5, and then the other pilot heard it as flaps 15, which is not a good flap setting for that. That in and of itself should have the other pilot reacting. These guys were new to the 777, but they had, substantial amount of hours. This is not like, you writing a wrong check, sending a wrong check to somebody. This is 350 souls in the back of that plane.
Right.
There is no room for error. There is zero. If you screw up here, it's your own life also. So which, is something to be mindful of. So obviously, there was a miscommunication. There was the wrong flap setting. The plane all of a sudden started to fall because it didn't have proper airspeed, and it didn't go any faster because the flaps were out at 15. Right. It's a takeoff flap setting, right?
Right.
So I'm not a pilot, but I read the report, and I don't like it that United knew about it. It wasn't reported. Then the press got a hold of it, and the press wrote about it in January. And then there was an investigation. And by the time the investigation came, the cockpit recorders were all wiped out. They keep them for X amount of months, and then they record over. They put new data on it. And so there was no learning from this, right? It was the pilots sitting down, writing a report when they came to San Francisco. When they got to San Francisco, they did exactly what professional pilots should do. They sat down, they wrote the report, they shipped it to their employers, and their employers did nothing. So when it finally came out, United 2 months later reported it to the FAA, and it's my mistake, the NTSB, and there was nothing to investigate because there was no data. The data was all gone.
Right. We should point out that was because this video keeps showing different brands.
Yeah, it's Swiss. It's an advertisement there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was an advertisement. United was the airline that.
Right, United Airlines. So here's the story. Right, United Flight 1722 lost altitude for about 1 minute after departure, while the instrument meteorological conditions, which included heavy rains, the weather had no impact on this. The airplane descended from 2,100 feet to about 748 feet above the water before the crew recovered.
Yeah, about 1,300, 1,400 feet. Woo!
Yes.
Okay.
And we're talking, this is like from now to now, that plane would have been in the water. It was so close. 748 feet. It's 0.12 miles, for crying out loud.
Yeah, there's only 2,100 feet above because it just taken off, right?
Yeah, it was just taken off, and it was climbing out. It was a big, big, big boo-boo. And, they're retraining the pilots. Fair enough. I'm sure they won't be doing that again. But I think that it's important that the NTSB and the airlines need to have a sit down and talk about this, because this was like literally 5 seconds from disaster.
Got it.
And it was a full house on a high density 777, which is bad news. So
I don't want to think about it. No.
Yeah, no, it's me either. It's very disturbing reading, and I just don't think that we need to have better reporting. We spend billions of dollars on the NTSB and the DOT and the FAA to keep us safe, and they failed us here. I'm not, yes, I blame the pilots. This is piss poor airmanship. Absolutely, they did. But at the end of the day, they saved the flight and they got to their destination, but they should have had the data. It should have been reported immediately. It was a very serious thing. If United didn't think that this was serious enough to report, that's it's not good. Anyways, but it ended well. As any bumpy ride like this show, it's now over for today. That's all I had to chat about.
let's remind everybody that today is, as we speak to you live today, it's August 17th of 2023. Again, if you're watching on on YouTube or on Facebook, keep in mind all this information we're telling you is current as far as August 17th is concerned. And thanks very much for joining us. You can check out our tours at maxatours.com. Tommy and
Yes.
I.
Please do check out maxatours.com. What do you got going on for travel this coming week?
This week, nothing. I just came back from DC and Boston 2 days ago. And of course, I was in France and Spain for a month almost before that, with a quick pop over to England for a wedding. I go September 11th back to my daughter's home in Brighton, England, for about 3 or 4 weeks. She's having surgery, and she's asked me to help out with the granddaughters. So I'm going to be a dad again for most of September.
Very cool. That you can like. I see also Penny made a comment here. You can go to the website, moving, canceling, etc. And that's true. You can, but you couldn't in our case because we have Companion Pass and I was added to it. So there were things that we manually had to do. So, but thanks for commenting for sure. We've got nothing. Going to Europe, starting up the fall's tours for Maxa Tours this year. We've got a few tours coming up and happy people going out traveling. And I saw the weather it's going to be toasty.
So what tours still have room? Venice to Paris?
No, those are the tours that we have for the fall now are full. We have a little bit of room left on the second Christmas market, and second and third Christmas market tour coming up, which starts in Vienna starts in Vienna and goes to Munich, stops in Neuschwanstein Castle, and ends up in Zurich.
Zurich, right.
That's what we have. And we also, in a couple of weeks or mid-September, is when we're going to launch next year's program with some big changes to our tourist program, which is very exciting. We've been working on that for a long time.
Yeah.
Finally out of the pandemic. Thanks for joining, everybody.
Take care. We're out of here.